Have you ever walked through a forest and felt the air hum, as if the trees themselves were whispering secrets from long ago? Some say those whispers aren't just the wind. They're the voices of those who've been wronged, carried through time until someone finally listens. Far beyond the lands you know, in a kingdom cradled between mountains as old as the earth, a shadow loomed over the people. It wasn't an army, it wasn't hunger, it was something far more primal, an enormous wild boar. Its tusks curved like cruel moons, sharp enough to split a tree. Its eyes glowed like embers in the dark, and its rage was like a storm that never broke. It tore through fields, trampled crops, slaughtered livestock, and left families trembling in its wake. No hunter dared face it. Not the strongest soldiers, not even the king's own guards. The forest it claimed as home became a place of silence. No bird sang there, no woodcutter dared enter. The people begged for salvation, and the king, desperate to protect his realm, made a vow that sent ripples through the kingdom. "Whoever kills this beast," he declared from his high balcony, "shall marry my daughter and live with me in the palace." His words soared over the rooftops, through the meadows, into every hut and hall. Some dreamed of glory, some of riches. But in the end, fear stilled their feet. All, except for two brothers. They were sons of a poor farmer, their lives bound to soil and seasons. The elder brother was quick-witted, but carried a pride that shadowed his smile. The younger was quieter, with kindness stitched into every word and a courage that didn't shout, it simply showed up when needed. Both stepped forward. Both swore to face the beast. The king studied them, then spoke. "To keep the creature from escaping, you will enter the forest from opposite sides, one from the west, one from the east." The elder set off from the west, his mind already calculating how he might turn this to his advantage. The younger walked into the eastern woods with nothing but his father's worn cloak and hope flickering in his chest. The forest swallowed him whole. Branches arched high above, forming a cathedral ceiling of green and gold. Shafts of sunlight slipped between leaves, landing in warm patches on moss-covered stones. The air smelled of pine and earth, ancient and alive. That's when he saw him. A little man stepped from the shadows, no taller than the boy's chest, with a beard white as frost and eyes that glimmered like hidden streams. He carried a black spear, its blade sharp and shining like obsidian under the sun. "I know your heart," the little man said, his voice soft yet certain. "It is pure, and so I give you this. With it, the boar cannot harm you." The boy took the spear with both hands, awed by its weight, and thanked the stranger. Not long after, the ground began to tremble, birds exploded from the trees, and then, bursting through a wall of thorn and shadow, the beast appeared. Its tusks gleamed wet with old blood. Its breath steamed in the cool air. The boy's hands tightened around the spear, but his heart stayed steady. The boar screamed, a sound like splitting rock, and charged. The boy did not run. He held firm, lowering the spear, letting the creature's own rage carry it forward. With a shudder that rattled the earth, the weapon struck true, driving deep into the beast's chest. The monster stumbled, thrashed once, and fell still. For a moment, the forest was silent. The boy knelt beside the beast, seeing not just the terror it had been, but the living creature it once was. Quietly, he whispered a prayer and thanked the little man once more. Then, summoning all his strength, he lifted the massive body across his shoulders and began the long walk home. Near the forest's edge, the faint sound of music floated through the trees. Fiddles, laughter, the clinking of mugs. A warm light spilled from a cottage just off the trail, and there, leaning out the window with a golden goblet in hand, was his elder brother. "Brother," the older called, smiling wide. "Come in, rest a while, you've earned it." The younger, heart open and trusting, stepped inside. He set down the boar, accepted a cup of wine, and shared the story of the little man and the black spear. But behind the elder's easy laugh, jealousy burned. He saw not just a brother, he saw the man who would take the crown, the riches, the princess. When the night grew quiet, they set out together toward the palace. The younger carried the boar, the elder carried a plan. They reached a narrow bridge over a slow, moonlit stream. Frogs croaked softly in the reeds. The elder's voice broke the quiet. "You first, brother." The younger stepped forward. The boards groaned under the weight of the boar, and then, a sudden blow to his back. The world spun. Cold water closed over his head. The last thing he saw was the pale shimmer of moonlight breaking apart on the surface. The current took him. By the time the water stilled, the elder was already on his way to the palace, the boar on his back, and a false tale on his lips. "I have slain the beast," he told the king. "My brother? The creature claimed him before I could help." The king embraced him. The princess's eyes softened with gratitude, and wedding bells rang soon after. And in the brook, beneath the bridge, silence settled over the bones of the younger brother. Years passed. The kingdom thrived, the story of the boar's slayer becoming a legend sung in taverns and told in markets. The elder wore his crown and smiled for his people, but the river still remembered. One spring morning, a shepherd led his flock across that same bridge. Humming a tune, he glanced down into the clear shallows and spotted something pale wedged between stones. He knelt, plucked it from the water, a small, smooth bone, polished by years of current. "This will make a fine mouthpiece for my horn," he said, tucking it into his pouch. That night, he carved it, shaping it to fit, smoothing it with care. When it was ready, he lifted the horn to his lips and blew. But instead of music, a voice rang out, soft at first, then steady, carrying a truth no wind had ever told. "Ah, friend, thou blowest upon my bone. Long have I lain beside the water. My brother slew me for the boar, and took for his wife the king's young daughter." The shepherd froze. His hands trembled. Again he blew, and again the voice sang the same mournful truth. The next day he went straight to the castle. Standing before the king, he bowed and said, "Your Majesty, I found this beneath the old bridge. It sings." The king raised an eyebrow. "Sings?" The shepherd lifted the horn and blew. The voice echoed through the hall, its words falling like stones into still water. The queen gasped. The princess's face went pale, and the king's eyes darkened. "Dig beneath the bridge," the king commanded. His men worked for hours, pulling mud and stone from the brook's edge. And then they found them, bones laid in the dark for years. Beside them, the black spear still gripped in bony hands. When they brought the elder before the throne, his face was white as winter. "Did you kill your brother?" the king asked, his voice heavy with rage. The man's pride crumbled. "Yes," he whispered. "I wanted the glory, the crown. I thought no one would ever know." The king's gaze was like fire. "The truth waits. It always waits, and when it comes, there is no hiding." Justice was swift. The elder was cast into the very waters where he had betrayed his brother, swallowed by the same current that had kept his crime. The younger's bones were laid in a tomb of white marble, carved with lilies and stars. People from all over the kingdom came to honor him, not for the boar he had slain, but for the heart that had stayed pure until the end. And they never forgot the lesson the river had sung, that the quiet heart still speaks when it is gone, that the smallest voice of truth can echo longer than any lie, and that love, loyalty, and honesty are worth more than crowns or gold. So if you ever hear the wind hum through hollow branches or water gurgle under a bridge, listen closely. The truth may still be singing. Like, comment, and subscribe for more magical tales, and tell me in the comments, if you could ask the wind one question, what would it be?